Imagine walking into your boss's office and giving notice because your writing has become your primary revenue stream, or your podcast is successful enough that you can quit your day job, or maybe having your marketing on autopilot so you can spend your time on the art career you love rather than on marketing. Are you a creative person who's great at what you do, but marketing makes you freeze? You're not alone. I help passionate, purpose-driven creatives overcome fear, find their brand voice, and build a marketing strategy that works for them. Oh yeah, I also make it easy and painless. It's never too late to grow the business you've been dreaming about. Book an introductory call with me, Rob Southgate, at southgatesmallbusiness.com today. And let's take the pain out of marketing together. One of my favorite events from last year is happening again, and you don't want to miss it. Books and Brews 2 will be held on Saturday, August 2nd, 2025, at the Wyndham Hotel in Noblesville, Indiana, just outside of Indianapolis. You can meet over 60 horror authors, all in one place. You can buy books on site, or you can bring what you already have and you can get them signed while you meet the authors. Books and Brews 2 is brought to you by the incredible horror book Facebook group, Books of Horror. Get your tickets today by clicking the link in the show notes. You don't need to be afraid. It's just horror authors. Welcome to Ink Blots, the show where I interview authors about their lives, writing, and the books they love. Be sure to follow the Ink Blots podcast on Substack. Not only can you listen to the latest episodes, but our Substack also has interview transcriptions and links to books and other items that we talk about on the show. If you like what we're doing, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. It really helps us and our sponsors out. Oh, and leave comments. We really do read and respond to every one. Now, let's get on with the show. Welcome to Ink Blots. I'm Rob Southgate, and I am here with author James Kaine. Very excited to talk to you. James is going to be one of the authors at Books and Brews 2, which is at, I always forget the name of the place, the Wyndham Hotel in Noblesville, Indiana on August 1st. The link will be in the show notes where you can get tickets. You can actually go out there and meet the authors. You can meet James, get your book signed, take a selfie, have him scare the crap out of you. It's all the good things, all the things you want, right? So, James, let's start this off. You and I actually have not met before, which is interesting. So I don't know much about you. Tell the audience who you are and kind of your journey.
All right, well, I am based in New Jersey, and I've been writing in some capacity since as far as I could remember. I always say I'm the meme that comes out, one of those guys that read a Stephen King book way too young, and that just became their personality and started writing. For me, it was It. After I saw the miniseries with Tim Curry back in 1990 when I was 11 years old. My mom went out and bought me the book, and we had no idea what the actual content of the book was back then. So
You got to that one section and your mom said, maybe we shouldn't read this.
It went right over my head. It went right over my head back then. So then I reread it. I was like, oh, I shouldn't have read this. But then I just started kind of writing. I would always, kind of figure out my own stories. I wanted to do comic books. And then I went to college. I was film major. I wrote some screenplays, did a short film, directed, never actually got any kind of screenplay sold. So back during COVID, I was kind of looking for, a change in direction. And I always had an idea for a novel, and I always wanted to be, a novelist. That was always something I kicked around. And I just started writing, and I did my first book, Pursuit, back in October 2022. I started my own imprint, Horror House Publishing, and that was it. Since then, I've now published 5 books. I've have 6 written, and next week I should have number 7 finished. So 2 more coming this year.
Wow, exciting! You're a real author.
Yeah. It feels like some days it's like, maybe not. Maybe I'm still an imposter, but I most times I'm like, okay, I kind of can do this.
So was it always? I mean, you said it was the impetus, but was it always horror?
Yeah. I mean, I was a horror fan way back before then. I mean, I vividly remember sitting on my aunt's living room floor. It was a nice deep blue carpet. They had a piano over in the left corner. Could still smell my uncle's pipe. And my cousin, big horror fan, and I don't know why we were watching it. I remember, I think I must have been 4 or 5 years old. And it was Friday the 13th, part 3. And
wow, at 4 or 5.
And that kind of took me. It was the 80s. No one really
Right.
cared too much to parent us too closely back then. I guess I'm Gen X, so we kind of had to fend for ourselves. And after that, it was just, it was either whether it was PG-13 stuff like the Monster Squad or Gremlins, or even going on a Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween, which is my all-time favorite. My mom was a big fan of that one too. And so every Halloween, that was our tradition to watch it. So always horror. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, in our house, I was always drawn to it, but my parents, to get them to watch a horror movie was like pulling teeth.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, they were not into it. And I remember I did get my mom to watch Halloween one year. And my dad, wait till you hear this story. I know this is about you, but wait till you hear this story. So I'm an only child. I get my mom to watch Halloween. I'm probably, 11, somewhere in there. Of course, we're getting the crap scared out of us, right? My dad, no interest. He disappears. Movie's over. I go upstairs. He's not there. I look, cars in the driveway. Mom, where's Dad? No idea. No idea. Okay. We search. We're screaming. We're looking all over. Nowhere.
Oh, man.
I had a TV in my room. We're talking like 2 hours later. I'm laying in bed watching TV. We've given up. We're like, I don't know where he went. He must have had, maybe his friend picked him up or something. I'm watching TV. It's like seriously 2 hours later, and a hand comes out from under the covers at the foot of my bed and grabs my ankle.
Oh, no.
That is trauma, dude.
That is. that is funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's hilarious.
That's committing to the bit to wait 2 hours. I couldn't.
Oh my God.
I'd have trouble waiting 2 minutes to pull a gag.
Yeah. He was fully invested in terrifying the hell out of me.
I respect the effort. I definitely respect the effort.
So did anybody in your family terrorize you that way? Put these ideas in your head?
No, I was more the one that would do stuff like that. Like I remember I hid from my mom in the basement, me and my friend, when my dad was home. My dad was in on. I said, "We're gonna scare the crap out of Mom. We got kidnapped." I was a kid that I'd hide in the clothes rack at Sears and stuff, and I would do stuff like that. But I will say there was one time I remember I was sitting at my kitchen table back in Trenton, and we had sometimes folks would come walking around the side of the house to the back door, and I was sitting at a spot where I could see the window, and my grandfather, I didn't realize he was coming over, and I'm just sitting, and all of a sudden his hand just comes up through the window, just a hand, and I'm like, I remember distinctly jumping back. But that was the only time I can remember with someone pulling a prank on me. Usually it was I was the culprit.
Yeah, I love that. Were you this could be a weird question, but were you a scared kid at all, or were you more like, no, I'm just diving in?
Like, did it scare me? You mean
yeah, just like I talk to a lot of authors that they're like a moth to the flame. The horror stuff, they're like, I love it. And I was crying and wetting my pants the entire time.
Yes, I was. No, I wasn't wetting my pants, but I was.
You can admit it here. It's a safe space.
No. I've had great bladder control my whole life. It's been something I'm very proud of. But other than that, I was the type that I would be like, I can watch this. I can handle this. I'm not scared of anything. And then nighttime would come around. I'm like, I'm kind of scared right now. And I'd go into my parents' room. Can I stay in here tonight? And that lasted for a little while. But I was. It scared me, but I would always go back. It was weird. I was a glutton for punishment, I suppose.
So you said it was kind of the starting point. Would you say that Stephen King was the big inspiration, or did you go on and like it was Stephen King, then it moved on to so and so and so and so? And
Stephen King was definitely when I was growing up from my adolescent to teen years. I read every King book I could get my hands on. I would dabble with a few others. A lot of it's funny. It seems like it was either King or like a lot of YA stuff, like R.L. Stein or Christopher Pike back then. Those anthologies, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Scary Stories Never Heard. So that was it. And then in my 20s, I picked up on random a book by Richard Lehman, great splatterpunk author, late great. And unfortunately, this must have been probably like 2002 or 2003. And then I found out he passed away in 2001. But then I went on a journey to kind of read all I can. I think to this day, I've still read more Richard Lehman books than any other author. And then recently, I went back into, I took a little bit of hiatus. I wasn't reading as much. And then I kind of got back into horror, and Christopher Triana is another big one. I think I've read actually more of his books than King books now too. I think I passed it by one recently. So I'd say, those three authors. And then I've been reading a ton of indie horror, a lot of the other folks that are going to be Books and Brews, and that I've met. I just recently got a chance to meet a lot of them at AuthorCon, and I'm pretty much almost strictly indie horror with my reading right now. So there's a lot of influences. Every book I read by somebody, I feel like it makes me a better writer. And
sure,
people tell me all the time, like, what do I got to do if I want to be a writer? I says, well, you got to read first, and then you can worry about being a writer.
Okay, ignoring the people you've mentioned, I want your top 3 right now that you're excited about.
Top 3 excited about to
horror
read.
Authors. Yeah. Top 3 horror authors you're excited to read, and ignore anyone you've mentioned.
Ignore anyone I've mentioned. I've been reading a lot of John Durgan, and I also got to meet him. Super nice guy. Great hanging with him. Trying to think who else I got. Andrew Van Way. He's been somebody that's actually been really helpful to me in my career, and his writing is just fantastic. I actually listen to his stuff on audio. Tom Jordan, who also does some of my books, he's got this really rich, deep voice, and I always say Tom's narration with Andrew's words is kind of like the smooth jazz of horror. It's just relax you, and it's just great. And then I'm trying to think of who else. Who else I say to read?
You could pick somebody who's going to be at Books and Brews. I mean, is there?
There's just so many folks at Books and Brews.
Who is it you're most excited to meet?
To meet, I did get to meet a lot of folks on there. I just got to meet Adam Caesar at AuthorCon. I know at Books and Brews we got. I know Thomas Oldhovel's going to be there, so that's someone I'm excited about meeting. I didn't get a chance to meet Gage Greenwood yet. I read his book Bunker Dogs last year, and that was absolutely fantastic. But I've gotten to meet a lot of folks last time. I guess, obviously one of the bigger names now in indie horror is Nick Roberts. I got a bunch of his books on the shelf. I haven't gotten to read any yet, but so I'm definitely looking forward to diving into those as well.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to try and get into some of the authory questions rather than you talking about other people. I want to hear about you a little bit here.
No problem. I don't mind either.
So how do you build dread in your books? Are you like a puppet master, or do you like the characters to drive things?
I'm absolutely big on character-driven stories. I think, especially in horror, like if you don't care about the people that the horrific events are happening to, then it's not really it's not effective. It's nowhere near as effective. I take pride. I always joke that my books end up inevitably with somebody mad at me that they like the book, but they end up mad at me because I either killed somebody off that they really got to like. And I say all the time, I'm like, listen, if I only kill the characters that you don't like or that do nothing to the story, like if a character dies when they have nothing else to contribute to the story, then it's not impactful. It's just they were out anyway, so it doesn't matter. The tragedy of a character being killed off is that there still things left for them to do. They could still have an important part of the story, and you're gonna if you don't feel that absence, it's not effective in my opinion. So I let the characters drive it, and plus there's I really one screenwriting book I read. Basically, it was screenplay by Sinfield back in college, and I
think we all read that, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And it still sticks to me to this day when he said, like, basically, there's no idea that hasn't been done in some form or another. So it's all how you execute it and what twist and what your spin you could put on it. But for me, it's like, taking compelling characters and making them people you can relate to, people you can root for, people you can care for. That's what drives the story. And when these things that we might know of, that, there's a werewolf in the woods, or there's a haunting and they're at risk, or there's a demon. We kind of know what those creatures will do and what threats they pose. So the key to making it fresh and is to make the characters that you care about and what their struggle is maybe outside of the horrific events. And then that just makes it worse when the horror starts to happen.
So is that how you start off? Do you start building characters, maybe have an impetus of an idea and say, let's play with these characters and start plotting out that way?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I always start with is obviously the idea, the scenario, like the what if this happened?
Yeah.
And then I start thinking is, okay, who can this happen to? And I get the character and I build it from there. And yeah, so that's where I plot it out from there. But yeah, definitely the idea and then the characters, like the main character and then the supporting character. And it's funny because like the book I'm working on now, I was kind of in a little bit of a quandary about how I can move the story forward. And it was as simple as flipping the gender of one supporting character that changed everything, and what the dynamic of a female character brought to the proceedings, and how she related to the male main character. Different things that kind of turned everything around, and everything started falling into place from there. So to getting the main characters and then figuring out the right supporting character. And then I added 2 more characters, supporting characters that really were able to drive the story forward.
Is there a horror trope that is kind of your ride or die that you like to fall back on?
I don't know if there's a trope that I would necessarily want to fall back on. I like to kind of explore different things. I mean, my first book was I guess I do fall on the slasher a lot. My first book was a slasher book. My second book was a werewolf, because that's always been my favorite monster. And then I did a prequel novella after that. And then after that, I went into a ghost story, and then back to another slasher, kind of like battle royale type. And now the one I'm writing now is about a cryptid creature in the woods type thing. So
is that Devil in the Pines?
That is Devil in the Pines. Yep.
Okay. I want that book. I'm like, I looked at that. I'm like, that looks awesome. And I got to say, it's funny. I didn't know I was going to be interviewing you, but the Dead Children's Playground pops up on something of mine all the time. Mm-hmm. And every time I'm like, I got to read this book, because your cover is terrifying. It's a great cover.
Thank you.
In fact, I think all your covers are really, really compelling. I think you've done an awesome job with that. But that one, for some reason, it's just you hooked me on that. And then when I saw the Devil of the Pines, I'm like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, I think cover art's very, very important to me, and I put a lot into it. I invest a lot into it. I use a great designer out of New Zealand. I want to make sure that I'm using real human artists and supporting them. And it's so important to have the cover is the first thing that drives someone to your book. And it's funny because the Dead Children's Playground was originally going to be a novella, not a full novel, and I got it, and I was going to it was going to be a lead magnet, like a free ebook I was going to offer for people to join my newsletter, because it's part of a larger series. And I'm like, let me write this novella, because my first one was going to be The Jersey Devil, which is I'm writing now. And then I saw that cover, and I'm like, oh my God, like my marketing side took over. And I'm like,
this deserves a novel.
This is too good to not. And then the story itself kind of just took off, because sometimes stories kind of take on a life of their own. And when that happens, it's so satisfying. But yeah, I could not take that cover and not let it have and it turned out to be my most successful book by far.
Yeah. You know what? I hope you paid that artist handsomely, because it really did its job.
Yeah, so they're not started.
Devil of the Pines, also awesome. Now it says American Horrors. Is this like an anthology you're working on? Is like you're going to keep exploring these cryptids and American horror? Mm-hmm. Are they loosely based on real events?
Absolutely, yeah. I was procrastinating, as I tend to do, and I found an article. It was and I can't remember, because now I found this article. I found variations of it on probably 10 different sites, and it was what's the scariest urban legend from each state. And I'm like, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if I kind of took these ideas and did a story for each legend? And for me, it was important. I'm not going to just rehash what happened. And some of these are very much, they're scary in theory, and there's a small story behind it, but it's not enough to really drive a full novel, and it's not necessarily a narrative. For example, The Dead Children's Playground, that one just stuck out at me. You know, I'm a father, and what scares you is, you know, something happened to a kid.
Yeah.
You know, and actually, if you read the book and there's an afterword, a scenario with the main character is very much based on a frightening medical scenario we dealt with our son. So I put a lot of myself into the books, but yeah, so each one, so I take the concept of the story and then I expand it because I really don't want it to just be, like I said, a retelling. I want to do it a fresh, original story using the legend as a basis. So it's really just the bare bones, like with the Jersey Devil one I'm working on now, for example. Like if you know the legend's pretty famous, but there's never ever an attack by the Jersey Devil. It's never an actual monster. It's like there's sightings, but it's not really a threat.
Right. There's the first story about the devil, the baby, and blah blah blah. But then after that, it's like, oh, something ran through the woods.
Yeah, exactly. This, and I will tell you this is a spoiler. No spoilers. It's the very first chapter. The Jersey Devil is very much a threat in this book, and it's very much.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the you know, you think you see the devil and then the humans are the real monster type thing.
Yeah,
that's not my favorite trope, I guess.
See, there you go. There's a trope we can bury. How's that?
Yeah. I mean, look, it could be done well. For me, it's disappointing if I think like there's a recent werewolf movie. I'm not going to name it because I don't like to kind of, you know, talk too badly about things. But it was a great werewolf movie all the way up to the end when it was revealed it was just a guy on stilts in a wolf costume using a knife. I'm like,
yeah, that kind of
man. If it didn't have that ending, it would have been one of the greatest werewolf movies of all time. But
we've seen that on Scooby-Doo, though, haven't we?
Yeah, the Scooby-Doo trope, you know, and it's like I think watching it every week, I was hoping that one day it would be a real monster.
Yeah, that was the thing, right? When we were kids and you watch it, you were really hoping that, okay, this time it's not some rich white dude.
Right. Exactly. And it got us every time.
Every time. So, okay, of your characters, who is the darkest villain that you've created? And what scared you about them? That's what I want to know. What is it about them?
The darkest villain I've created, and I think anyone that's read the book will agree. And I'm going to be a little bit vague because it's a small spoiler. I mean, let's put it this way: you won't not see it coming. There's other things like how he acts and how far he goes you won't see coming. But the villain, the ultimate villain in My Pet Werewolf, is probably he's the nastiest.
Yeah. He's kind of stuck with you. Yeah,
because there's in my novel Black Friday, which kind of an over the top battle royale splatterpunk book. There's this group of psychopaths called the Animals, and they're over the top psychopaths. You know who they are. This is a guy that starts out one way, and he's definitely got this creep side to him, and something happens to him, and he becomes progressively worse till he starts acting very, very depraved and sick. And you kind of find out that he was not a great guy to begin with, and he gets even worse during the course of the story.
So he's another nasty. Yeah, I like the premise of that book. Having grown up working in malls and then later on having a retail store and dealing with Black Friday and that premise is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I worked at Target, so
you know
during the height of the Pokemon card craze. So
I worked in an electronics store when the iPod had first come out, and the people that own this, they put an ad out in the paper that were giving away free like accessories for the iPod, headphones, all these things. Like you got this package. They had 10 per store, but they didn't say that. So there were lines of people, and you know how it works for Black Friday. You better be specific or you're in trouble. And we were, oh my God. It was like a madhouse.
Scarier than anything I could write.
Have you seen Thanksgiving yet?
I did. In fact, I'll be honest, that's where I kind of got the idea for Black Friday. I was watching it, and I remember me and my wife were sitting on the couch and we're watching it just on like a Sunday afternoon. I saw that opening thing and I was like, wow, I could do something with this. I got an idea. And I ran into my office. I typed out some notes. I'm like, all right, let's finish the movie.
Yeah, right.
So Black Friday was definitely inspired by the movie Thanksgiving.
That's really awesome. Because I loved that beginning there too. I got all sorts of ideas watching it. I'm like, ooh, I got lost in it.
That was intense. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, you know.
So what is it about horror that keeps pulling you back in?
I think horror is a way. I think everybody has fears, and everybody has some very real fears about life, about their family, about health, about money, about the state of the world. There's always something out there that somebody's afraid of, and fear is one of those emotions that you can't control. But at the same time, it also kind of gives you a shot of adrenaline, your flight or fight response. And horror is a good way of helping us deal with the things we're afraid of. And it might not be exactly what we're afraid of, but it helps us deal with the concept of fear in a controlled environment. It maybe gives us that rush. It helps us understand what it feels like. And it's just such a powerful emotion that we all feel. And I think it definitely helps us experience it without actually being in real danger.
So you publish yourself. You've got this publishing company. You've written quite a bit. You're like off to the races with this. Here's a question you probably get, but I am going to ask it maybe a different way.
Okay.
If you could give one piece of no fluff advice to an aspiring young horror author, what would it be? And you can even take horror off of it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's anybody, anything. But if you want a framework in horror author, what would it be? No fluff. I want no fluff out of you, James.
Okay. All right. So here's this is what I say all the time. When you're writing, all right. So one big advice a lot of people will get is don't get into writing, especially writing horror, to make money. And yeah, that's true to an extent. I think you have to go into it for the love of the genre, for the love of the craft, and you have to really learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Once you decide to take the step and publish your work, then you got to start thinking about the money a little bit. It's not
got to pay for it.
Yeah, it's not like I see a lot of authors, and it's mistakes I might have even thought about making. I was very lucky because I was very methodical in doing things, and I kind of studied a lot before I actually pulled the trigger. I probably could have started a lot earlier, but I kind of like watched from the sidelines, tried to figure stuff out, and I still made a ton of mistakes. But you can't just decide that you're going to slap your book on Amazon, put a cheap cover, or God forbid an AI cover on it, not get it edited, not go through the ARC review process, not do any of the things you want to do, and then go online and complain that you're not successful. Now you could do all those things and still not be successful. My first book was not very successful at all, and it didn't start picking up until I had other books out there that were better books and that
Typical.
Yeah. So you have to decide what you want from your career. If you just want to write, and you could put I have a relative, he wrote a book, he put it up there. He wants to get some beer money or some green fees when he goes golfing. And that's fine. He's perfectly happy with that. And I'm happy for him because he accomplished the book. He has a feeling of success and he did it. But if you're going to just not put any effort into it and not understand that most of this job in publishing, at least half of it, if not more, is marketing and putting yourself out there. If you're not going to understand that, then don't go online and complain about you not selling books, because writing books is extremely hard, and not a lot of people want to do it. Not many people do it. If you can do it, you are ahead of 95% of the people in the world, and you should feel very proud of yourself. But if you want to publish it and you want people to read it and you want to do it, it's a whole different level of effort, and it's just as hard, if not harder, than writing the book itself. Because a lot of us tend to be introverts at times, and getting out there and promoting and interacting, it's not always easy. Sometimes we don't understand that you can't just go out there and be like, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. You got to be part of something. You got to participate in these groups. You can't just go out there and spam book. You have to learn how to be part of the community before you can expect it to you got to give to the community a lot more before you expect to get anything back from it.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. This is what I do. I'm the vice president of marketing and growth for a publisher, and I own a huge podcast network. This is what you're saying applies to all of it. And the thing that makes me crazy, it was authors say it. Podcasters say it. I deal with comic book people. They say it. Filmmakers say it. They go, but I'm a filmmaker. I don't want to do marketing. I'm an author. I don't see why I have to do that. You can do it. No. No. The only people that can get away with saying that, and they don't, is like Stephen King. They could hire a team for him and they do it. But notice, if you watch him, he's on Twitter and Blue Sky. He's not on Twitter anymore, but Blue Sky and Threads. He's out there. He's going to things. This is the most successful author like of all time, and he's doing the marketing things.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, you have to. It's I determined I wanted to be a creative, but I also wanted to be a creative that people read, and that
you want to be read.
I want my work in front of people, and you know what? It doesn't matter how good your book is. I've read some fantastic books, like books that I've loved. And there's absolutely no marketing behind it. They're never on social media.
They just disappear. Maybe it's one book and they're done, or
it's just and I get there's a, I'm not going to name it, but I read it. It came out years ago, and it was such a unique concept, and it was really cool. And I think the author was a video game designer at first, and then he tried to put out a second book. He even admitted it, and he said he didn't edit it, he didn't market it right, and it kind of sidetracked his career. And that's not, I want to keep learning. I want to keep enhancing my craft on both the writing side and the marketing side and the publishing side and the business side. I have a business background, so that kind of helped.
That helps.
But no, you definitely got to put yourself out there.
Solid advice. So have you been to the Midwest?
I don't know. I don't think I have. I've been out west. I've been south. I never made it.
This will be new for you.
Yeah, I'm so excited about being here.
What are you most excited about seeing or eating or doing when you're here?
Oh man, I'm just excited about being back. When I went to AuthorCon back in February, that was my very first experience at any convention, any signing, and I got to meet so many readers, so many other authors, and I was actually, and when I was in banking, and I was when I was in so many networking events, I was like, I couldn't wait to get out of there, and I just go out with my friends and people I know. I was sad when that was over. So getting back out there, and now there's so many people that I didn't get to meet, and this being a Books of Horror event, and I say all the time, my career would not be where it was if I didn't discover this group. The support from the readers and the admins and the fellow authors, I'm so grateful for all of them. And being able to be in the Brawl this year and being able to get out to get invited to Books and Brews is such an honor, and I'm just so excited to be in that community for 3-4 days, wherever we're going to be out there, and for the events and meeting everybody. And also, I do want to see. I've never been to the Midwest, so I don't know what to expect. I'm kind of a food snob because I do firmly believe here in Jersey and New York we got the best food in the world, but I'm very. I mean, I don't know what I can try out there.
We'll see.
What should I try when I'm out there?
I'm a Chicago guy, although my daughter is about to graduate. She's going to be going to the new school in New York, so I'll be going to New York. So we'll see.
Very cool.
The two of us will have to take notes. I don't know. I mean, are you going to Chicago or are you going to Indianapolis?
We're going. I mean, I guess it's Noblesville.
That's right outside of Indianapolis.
It is. Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We were toying with the idea of going to Chicago afterwards and meeting up with my wife's brother, because he actually moved out to Iowa a few years ago, and we were going to they were going to come out, but it just didn't work halfway out with our schedules. So, so I'm only going to be there for the Books and Brews event.
So I can speak to Chicago food. So this,
okay.
We'll just say you're right. Yours is awesome. But if we start talking Chicago food, especially when we get into pizza, you and I are going to do a little wrestling here. I'm just going to warn you. All right, James. Well, I am excited for you to be there. I wish I could see you in person this time. Once again, daughter's graduating. We're off to New York at the same time. So, but it's really exciting. It's August 1st at the Wyndham Hotel in Noblesville, Indiana. Links in the show notes so you can get tickets. You can go meet James, get his books. I'm telling you, buy everything he's got. You know what? He's out there hustling, trying to market this stuff. Show him that his marketing works. Buy his books. And man, welcome to Books and Brews. I'm so happy you're going to be there. I'm sure people are going to love meeting you and getting stuff signed. And I am all in on Devil in the Pines. I already told you. And that Dead Children's Playground, I think I'm going to have to get poster of that or something. That is the best cover, man. That just freaked me out.
I do have them on my website.
Do you? All right.
All right.
You know what? We'll put that website in the show notes
Sweet.
too. All right.
Appreciate
Hey, James, thank you so much, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was great talking to you.